Hello, Louisville. Guess who's coming to dinner? Hello, Louisville, Kentucky. Hello, USA. Hello, bonsoir, Patty. C'est moi. I'm your host, Janice Carter Miller. Welcome to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Oh, today is a special day. You know, I was reminded today of something that I'm going to share with you a little later on about. This is National Poetry Month. This is National Jazz Appreciation Month. All right now. But today, April 12th, is a day that I am going to introduce to some and to present to others the hardest working woman in Louisville, Kentucky. That would be my girlfriend, Ruby Hyde. What's up, Miss Ruby?
Fine. How are you doing today? Thank you for having me today. You called up with me.
Look, Ruby, let me tell you something. I know you're not the hardest working woman in show business, but you're the hardest working woman in Louisville, Kentucky, because you stay busy and your work is always for this city. And I applaud you, my sister, you know, and I had put on a promo about you. I said, everybody knows Ruby, but if you don't know Ruby, you need to listen in today so you can get to meet Ruby Hyde. How you doing, my sister?
Well, I'm hanging in here and I feel great today. The sun is up and there's a nice wind coming in my way, and everything's been fine and perfect today for me.
So we're getting ready for Derby, huh?
That's the reason I have my hat on. My mother. It rained over the weekend, and she said when it rains, the horses are on their way.
The horses are on their way.
Yes.
All right. So let me start here, Ruby. You started an organization, the Smoketown Pride Heritage Homecoming Festival, and you've done a lot of things for the Smoketown neighborhood. I said that you were the neighborhood gatekeeper. If it's going on, you know what it is. So tell us what made, and you do the presentation at some of the funerals for people that have passed on. I know you did it for my brother and you did it for my mother. And I thank you. It was a beautiful, you have a beautiful presentation that you make to families. So tell us about Smoketown Heritage and tell us how you got involved and what inspired you to make that happen.
Well, initially, I am from Smoketown, and my primitive years were Smoketown. I went to Catholic school in Smoketown.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of history in Smoketown. However, it was a force upon me. I worked for the city government over 35 years in different government programs.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately after John F. Kennedy was killed, President Johnson opened up programs called War on Poverty. Okay. And I was able to get a job because my father was a Navy retiree and he worked for the federal government. And so I watched his work ethic, but he always told me, if you want to work, there's jobs after here. Mm-hmm. But I got involved with Smoketown because I followed his lifestyle. He worked and he worked and he worked. My mother was a homebody and raised. I'm the 8th of 9 children. Okay. But when my baby brother Bernard got 17, she went to work for the WAR, which was Vietnam War, Ola Matheson. Mm-hmm. And she stayed there until she retired. And I watched those skills of my parents. But I was always protected because I had 7 older brothers and sisters in front of me, and I couldn't get out of the gate without them following me and seeing what I'm doing. So my mother was my gatekeeper. Oh,
and so you knew about being a gatekeeper, huh?
Yes. So on up to 14 years old, I had a babysitter. I said, what? Well, I didn't understand that. Plus, my homage comes to my formative years of teaching. In the Catholic schools, I was a student. It's my former years. I didn't know about public schools for many years. Mm-hmm. And my older sisters who did go to Catholic high school in Ursula, they begged my mother that she would be a good girl and she allowed me to go to a public school. And by that time, my mother was getting into her senior year, and she took the advice of my sisters, and that's how I got into public schools. I was so happy to meet some public school children and some boys, which I played with all the time. Yeah. So I think I was sort of genetically born into this kind of situation. Okay. My father worked 20 years for the federal government, and my mother was home, kept us home till she was 7. My baby brother Bernard was 17, but he got a chance to do more than I ever did because I was at her hip with everything. My mother was a 50-year member of NAACP, and she worked during the years of Emmett Till. And I was a little girl who was following her around all over the city and all over the community, raising money in NAACP for Emmett Till back in those days. Okay. But I didn't know she was showing me the straightaway to life. Okay. And that's what happened to me. I inherited a lot of her skills and a lot of my father's skills. So today, after 40 years, I've been in community service, social service, and I have met all the movers and shakers in Louisville because I've been called on to do a lot of work for a lot of groups, a lot of organizations, a lot of institutions. Yeah. Unbeknownst to me, I get a call, can you help us as a consultant? And that's where my life has been. And I went to the Ursuline nuns who taught me many years ago, but I went to them as an older girl in my early 40s for prayer and worship. And unbeknownst to me, I was taken overseas on a trip for 15 days through one of my older sisters who was a world traveler. And I seen a new life. I seen a new evolution in me. And when I came back home, I went to Europe, Spain, Germany, Italy, and Paris for 15 days. And she said, you the baby of the family. You did all you could do. We've hovered over you. So we want you to see what's life going on outside of Louisville, Kentucky. And from
that was wonderful. That's a wonderful experience.
And so my Smoketown roots, the city called me to do a program in Smoketown. Mm-hmm. I over-exceeded that program. Then they transferred me to California neighborhood. And California was in the midst of a revitalization. Mm-hmm. But I was there to do youth employment for the 16 to 25 years of age. I over-exceeded in that. Then the late Jesse Linton, the late Fannie Purvis, and Mrs. Minnie Carter is still living today. They put me on the revitalization team. And as
what team? What team was that? Revitalization. Okay, I got you.
And from there, the city came up with the first revitalization in the city of Louisville. They called it the Station Park Revitalization. But the years went on, and the park they talked about was the 9th Street corridor, which separated Beatty from Main Street down to Oak Street and brought all the business to South. Mm-hmm. Broadway, and then the 9th Street divide was the history behind all of that. Mm-hmm. That's the first revitalization, but I got 300 jobs out of that for men and women who wanted to work to help build up that project from 9th Street to Oak Street. But it really was the 9th Street divide. Okay. And so I've been moved here, moved there, and I just took it as I learned it.
Okay. So now when we went, Miss Ruby took me on a ride so that I could see some of the wonderful things that she's made happen in the community. We went up in Smoketown, and you had something to do with them getting the marker?
Oh, yes. Smoketown, I was called upon by retired director of public relations for WLKY was Miss Laura Bradshaw at that time, and Miss Celeste Lanier, who worked for the governor's office, knowing that they had been chair and chairpersons of the Louisville and Jefferson County community programs to identify history in Louisville. I had been to a couple of events to show about the history of slavery and the history of where we come from. Mm-hmm. But they called upon me because I was doing festivals in Smoketown. And I was so grateful.
Well, Smoketown wasn't the only place you did festivals.
I
read you did some other places too. Like where?
Where I went to, I did the first festival in Southwick. I did it for class 1963. Newburgh Festival started calling me. Griffithtown and Berrytown started calling me. But I had trained to how to implement those festivals.
Right.
And so I trained through the Archdiocese of Louisville.
Okay.
Through presentation in Catherine Spalding colleges because they would put on the spring fling. And one year I taught so much they made me co-chair. Well, I learned how to go to the neighborhoods and bring down some history of how to organize and how to plan a festival and how to fundraise.
Okay.
And from there, I have to give it back to them. That's how I first learned.
Okay.
But I always was an advocate.
You've always been an advocate. I mean, even now, I know you played some sports, but then you got big time and went down in Chickasaw Park and became the president of the tennis club. That's one of the oldest black tennis clubs in the country, isn't it?
Yes, we over 102 years old today.
Are you kidding?
And I learned up. Yes, I went in there 40 years ago, and we had the men. Everybody's just about to cease. We have one living person, but Chickasaw Park started through Shawnee Park, the white tennis courts. And they came in and helped the little Chickasaw Park out. And Arthur Lloyd Johnson, who traveled to a lot of the tournaments over the years, was our teacher. Mm-hmm. And I stayed 10 years as president of Chickasaw Park. Okay. I have to give kudos to Miss Yolanda Lefford and a lot of them who have gone on because they was my right-hand press secretaries and administrators.
You know, that's my sister.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And so today,
the Duns.
Yeah, the Duns. And we got
Ruby,
the book done and everything.
So Ruby, so now you got the Smoketown historic marker. Where is that located?
It's located. That's the gateway to Smoketown. It's at Hancock and Broadway.
Okay.
We are a local. We are a national. We are a state historic neighborhood.
Oh,
we listed in the archives. We were listed in the archives in Washington D.C. And I had to give my head off to Celeste Neer and Laura Bradshaw.
Yeah.
And also I have to get my head off to work me through the navigation of the city to Miss Shelby Bacon, because I worked under 4 mayors to get my stuff done that I needed for the community. Because when I first went back to Smoketown after being grown and married, everything, it was just like a dark night on me. Mm-hmm. I went the youth there, but it was so much negativity and so much life had changed and so generations had changed and they did so much everywhere that I stuck my neck out and went forward. I went to Broadway, met every business on Broadway. I went to the black businessmen who had money, and then I even reached out to people who had money that was looking right in our faces, and we didn't know it, and that was the medical campus of downtown Louisville. And when I met with them, the doors flung wide open.
The what council?
The medical campus, all the hospitals downtown.
Oh, the medical council.
They had been looking at us every day. They knew this little black community was there. Smoketown has borderline. They start on Broadway north. They go to Fairgrass Creek on the east. On the south, Kentucky Street and I-65 north and Brook Street is our boundaries.
Is the boundaries? Okay.
With the new boundaries. And everybody was getting rehab done and new buildings and new storefront, WAVE, all in that area. But the neighborhood wasn't getting anything, was waiting on we was waiting on all these results to come back to see if the neighborhood fitted. I had been working with them since 1985, and they want to do surveys. In one meeting, I stood up and said, "You have surveyed this neighborhood for 30 years. When are you all going to do something?" And I was out of order when I said it, but 2 meetings later, they didn't have demographics, they didn't have logistics, and I had all that information, and I was answering all the questions. And they sent in Chicago consultants from Lakeshore Drive in Chicago, sent in consultants, and I answered all their questions. Well, that was a political standoff because they wanted Smoketown to become another extension of the medical campus downtown. And so I went to all our big boys during that time that were living, and all those who come out of Smoketown who had money and business, and they said, "It's not going to happen. You stand still, and we're going to come in there and we're going to deal with that's the oldest neighborhood that still exists today from the Civil War, where free slaves walked in." And patience and paying off and navigating and networking has paid off today. But we had 3 agendas. We had housing was first. We had housing, we had economic development, and then we had self-development. And that's the part we need, is economic. They need grocery stores in the community today.
Right.
Sure, we got some
still no grocery stores in that community.
Still no grocery stores in the community. They have one over in Butchertown, but that grocery store, and one over
on Goss Avenue.
But it's too expensive.
But it's too far.
It's too far, too expensive. So we need a grocery store today, and then we need somewhere for the children to go and play instead of the backside of the driveway.
Okay. So, but let me ask you this. So what did Grace Hope become?
Grace Hope is owned by Jefferson County School Board.
Oh, okay.
They bought the building, and they train teachers and staff and early childhood teachers. But some new news is ready to come out about them. They're going to engage with the community in about 2 weeks, but I can't announce it there. But they're going to open up the door.
Look, when you get ready to break the news, let me know so you can come back on and break the news with us.
I sure will. I'll be at the grand opening.
So Ruby, let me ask you this. So now you took me to see the marker. You took me down to the California neighborhood and that revitalization program. How many houses there were? You showed me houses on like 3-4 different blocks.
Yes.
That were they rehabbed or refurbished? I mean, kind of the same thing.
When I was down there as a monitor, when they first started under the Jesse Linton president, Manny Carter, who's still living today, Fanny Purvis, she's deceased. Those were some great seniors. All of my efforts have been with the seniors, and I can't understand. They stayed the toe till they seen development. We did California Senior House, and that's up. We did California Family House, 16th to Garden, that's across the street. And then we did about 30 homes, new home and refurbished homes.
Right.
And then 26 block club. We had a block club convention, 26 block club. And that's where the crime convention come in with the block club to everybody staying in contact and learning the neighborhood and being a part of what you see and what you don't see. And it was very successful. Then I got moved back to Smoketown again. They called me back to Smoketown.
They said, "Come on back to Smoketown, Ruby."
And that's where I stayed at. Because we got the new apartments in Smoketown.
Okay. So that was kind of like that whole. That's the same look that they gave that medical complex they did by the hospitals. They that's on that same kind of plan, and that's the same kind of plan that Beecher Terrace is on too, isn't it, Ruby?
It's the same plan. Beecher Terrace was part of it's the first revitalization, but they closed 9th Street from the other streets going east, 9th Street east downtown. But they call it Station Park. In late years, they started calling revitalization 9th Street Divide. I was a monitor for them. 9th Street in Maine went from 9th Street and Oak. I did get 300 jobs for laborers and apprentices, and all the companies have moved across Broadway. So that was a good thing. But the divide, the mentality was already in place with city leaders until things start to unlevel and people understand what happened. And it was
Right.
happening. That was the reason for it to happen.
Okay. Okay. So now we've done Smoketown, we've done the California area. Now I know that you volunteer and give your time. That's where you are now. You're up at the Louisville Hotel. Tell
Yeah.
us about what you do there at the Louisville Hotel.
Well, the Louisville Hotel, I tell you, this has been a real awakening in my late years.
Mm-hmm.
I was called upon by the East Main Street businessmen,
Mm-hmm.
and that starts at the Gold House, going east all the way down Market and Main Street. Well,
Mm-hmm.
today it's the New Loop.
Oh,
They
right.
wanted me to be their consultant to help Wayside, whose formation was on Market and Main Street.
Right.
They owned
Right.
about 2 or 3 blocks, to move them somewhere away in another area. They wanted to put them in an industrial area.
Right.
And the board of Wayside said, no, we're not going industrial. Put them in an area where you could, you're not in the business area. And we went
But an area where they can thrive.
where they could.
Because now so this is the Wayside mission, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And then the north of I said the expressway came through, and they
Okay.
paid nice money. And what they did, they built a new building for the men over at Jackson and Jefferson Street, and
Okay.
put a new bridge up.
Okay.
But at the same time, I had already been involved with Hotel Louisville, which was Holiday Inn, because that's where I used to do my festivals at banquets. When I was doing the festival, we have a Friday night for banquet and honorees, and Saturday and Sunday we have a festival at the Shelby Park. So I was sort of entwined, but East Main Street businessman president found me, and we sit down and talk and say, you be our consultant. We got to get Wayside and the mission people off this block, because we got some revitalization for them.
Mm-hmm.
And today it's the New Loop. Today is the New Loop.
Okay. All right. Well,
So
I
I've
mean,
been caught up between, but I met some great people. I sit down and talk with them. I've been at the table with them. And this revitalization around the city, it's already been planned in advance. It's not a last minute planning. The vision has already been out there. So I see
they already know what they're gonna knock down and take and move. They already had the urban removal was already in
yes,
place.
yes.
Yeah.
But we stopped them from Smoketown because they had left Madison and Jackson and Clay Street and all those there on Walnut Street. They had bought everybody out, those little homes over there.
Mm-hmm.
But when I told the big boys, a lot of them are gone.
Yeah.
Mr. Joe Hammond, Lenny Loud, I won't name everybody, but
Loud's, yeah.
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That's
Yeah.
the oldest black neighborhood in the city, 1865. Because I did a research on all the neighborhoods, they in the 1870s. And I
Well,
went to
you
all
know, Ruby, my father's family are all from were all born in Smoketown, and that's why I had my brother and I, we used to spend weekends with my aunt used to do hair, my uncle Tony Mack.
Yes.
They lived in the East End, and see, I didn't know that there was areas of the city that people couldn't go to, because when we were growing up, that didn't happen. I used to go swim in Shelby Park Pool.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because we spent the weekends with my aunt Lou and my uncle Tony, and all the Carters were members of Little Flock Baptist Church,
At the church, yes, they sure were.
and Little Flock is
You have
still
one
there,
aunt
right?
still living, don't you? Don't you have one aunt still living?
Yeah, I have one aunt, and I have one aunt and one uncle.
Okay.
They're Hammonds. I have Margaret
Yes, the
Hammond
Hammonds.
and Charles Hammond. My grandmother married a second time, but all the Carters are gone, are deceased. And my aunt Margaret and my uncle Charlie out in
Yeah.
California, they're
And
still
you
living.
remember the Hammonds? I grew up with Charles and Janice and Tiffany, but his mother is the
Ain't
only
Dorothy.
living lady that was there at the marker ceremony when they brought the marker and
Right.
put it on Hancock and Broadway. She was there at the ceremony. Miss
All
Dorothy
right.
Hammond.
All right.
Still living today. And I
Shout
went,
out to you, Aunt Dorothy.
yeah, ain't Dorothy. Mom,
I'll make sure she
call
gets
her
to see
mom.
this. Oh, they do call her Ma.
Mom,
But
that's mother.
they used to call my grandmother Ma.
Okay. But
That's
she's
really
still living
funny
today.
how,
Everybody else is deceased. She's still living today.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, Ruby, I just want to thank you for giving me your time, because, it's people like you that um, a lot of times, you are unsung. We need to sing your praises and thank you for the work that you've done in the community. So we have to give you your flowers while you're still here.
Thank
And
you.
I'll give a shout out, along with that, you have a daughter that has a business right there on Broadway, the Manhattan, who she's doing wonderful things. She's doing the pop-up shop. She got one this Saturday, right?
Yeah, she has one this Saturday.
Okay, so
She has the grand opening in 2 weeks for another
okay,
program coming up. But I
okay.
think she's probably part of my limb that fell from my mother to me, now it's fallen to her.
That's all right. That's all
And
right. You got a wonderful
I
legacy.
support her.
You have a wonderful legacy. And I want to tell you, I want to say thank you as being my girlfriend. You've
Thank
always
you.
been there. If I can do for you and you can do for me, we've always done that for each other,
That's
and I'm really honored to have had you on the show today. Well, there's one piece that I know that you always want to mention, and just tell them the story about being the water girl.
Well, the water girl came along. I said I was overprotected by my mother and my brothers and sisters. But by me being the eighth of nine children, my ninth brother, which was younger than me, 2 years younger, he could go and do anything he wanted to as far as moving around the community. But I could
Hmm.
only go a couple of blocks. So she would take me over to Presbyterian Center to play, to get into activities. I was in sports. I pitched softball for 5 years. I did sewing. I did fencing. Then the boxes. I got into the boxes. And then Fred Stone asked my mother could I stay there to help the boxers, taking towels and water to sitting on stage. The stage was on the platform of a regular stage that they use for activities, but they
Okay.
put more poles around the stage,
Okay.
put duct tape around the stage, and boxes would come and train and put rope all the way around them. So it was three girls, and two of them are deceased. It was Joanne Armstrong and the girl named Rita Davis. We couldn't go far. And then my mother would come back over and get me. But I still said, well, I had an activity. I had fun today, but I didn't know girl 13 and 14 was going all over the community because I couldn't go.
Hmm.
I was heading packed down, but I didn't realize it because I had older brothers and sisters keeping an eye on me too. So I grew up under that
You were
kind of,
one of them. You had to be in the house when the street lights came on, huh?
yeah, yes, on the porch. I
Like
had to be on
me.
the porch. I had to be on the porch. But anyway, today I think about Freddie. His son is with me anytime I need him.
Hmm.
Fred Jr. and Freddie.
Well,
I
tell
spoke
me who you were the water girl for. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Muhammad Ali and many boxers.
Okay. All right.
You see a photo back there
Right.
of me and Muhammad?
Right.
I was just, but I didn't know he was going to be a famous, great boxer today. But we would jump up and down when he hit somebody. He would wink at us, and we thought he was flirting with us. But
Oh,
he throw the boxer off, and then the boxer look at us, and then he knock him out.
then he knock him out. Girl, that's
He
funny.
knocked him out, and so he just a regular person to be training under
Sure.
Fred Stone.
Right.
And he
Okay.
kept up with me all those years, many years today, even on up till his Lonnie's mother died. And they said the water girl's here from Smoketown, and he wanted me to sit with him at any event. I was at the last dinner that he had here in Louisville. I was with him.
That was
So
beautiful. That's beautiful.
he was a person of laughter, but when he boxed, he was serious. But then he had a gift for gab. He boxed with his mind
Mm-hmm.
instead of with his fist
Okay.
because he always kept the other opponent off guard and he would knock him out.
All
And
right.
he also, I was upset because the Cure Journal in the media told me many years ago that the story didn't come to Grace Hope Community Center. It went to the big boys who had the money. So I went and investigated through the state and did the archives. every neighborhood in this community, in this city of Louisville, was listed except Smoketown. And that's the reason I did a holler out for help and for crying that we got to bring this neighborhood alive. And that's when I started the festival. I talked to politicians and businessmen and many people who had funds because the neighborhood didn't have money. We had to help raise money. Right. But when those festivals started, they started 5,000 to 10,000, 15,000 people. They would call me from across the country, across the state. I was born or raised. I had families in the neighborhood. A marker came, and that's when the history came out.
All right. Well, Ruby, I'm going to say thank you, my sister.
Thank you.
Stay safe. God's blessings to you. You've been blessed.
Thank you.
Your legacy is a untouchable one. I mean, I don't know how many people have done as many things that you have done for the city in these different neighborhoods, just across the board, from the neighborhood revitalization, the festivals in the neighborhoods, your work with Wayside Mission, and just your all around being a good little girl that went to Catholic school. Let me tell you. And this, I'm going to give a shout out to Ursuline Associates, because I know they're watching you. And you're actually one of the first guests that I've ever had that had people sending me notes saying, send me more information about Ruby. I said, Lord have mercy, I got a superstar on the show today. But I want to say thank you. I love you. And take care of yourself, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Appreciate the show. Goodwill to you. Be well.
Thanks, darling. All right.
Bye-bye.
That's Miss Ruby Hyde. Now that's somebody that's been doing some work. Those are the voices that I want to hear on the show. She's somebody that she's my friend, and whenever she calls on me, I try to show up for her. That's what I'm saying about that. Help me, help you, help me, help you, help me to help you, because it's just a circle that goes around. And if we keep helping each other, then we'll get to where we're going, so we can do things together. So, we can take prioritize things. We've got things that we want to see happen in the city. We all need to get behind one thing at a time. And once that's done, then let's go to the next one. And as we move, we become more cohesive to move as a community that's of the same mindset. We don't have to be, everybody has to be a chief and no Indians. We've got to have some Indians, but we need to know how to be an Indian. In order to be a chief, you do have to know how to be an Indian. Now, because you are here with me today, and this is going into the 7th month of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, I thought, in honor of Jazz Appreciation Month, that I would just give you a little something that you may enjoy. I have done no music, so I haven't been on the show boasting about my singing. I've been here, I've been there. Yes, I have. But today I started to look for some jazz to play on the show. And something said, well, you have a song that was done by my girlfriend out in Las Vegas, Miss Marlena Shaw, that I did in one of my shows called Girlfriends, that I did in Las Vegas, and I brought it here to Louisville about 3 different times. And so just give me a second. Let me see if I can make this happen. Okay, watch this. Okay, here we go. Okay. That didn't work right. Let me do it again. Let's hold on. I ain't gonna mess this up. I messed my husband's music up on Sunday. But now. I got that bump down, didn't I? Go away, little boy. Why don't you go away, little boy? I am not supposed to be alone with you. When you are near me like this, you're much too hard to resist. Why don't you go away, little boy, before I beg you to stay? So baby, are you going looking for a job today? You know, you were here when I left home, and you're still here when I get back. You know, you got to put something in the pot to get something out of it. Oh, I know you're young. See, I like young. Works for me. But I don't care how young you are. There's somebody younger more willing. I keep telling them I'm 35. So won't you just stay? Won't you just stay? Please don't go away. Won't you just stay? Don't go away. Okay, that's in tribute to Jazz Appreciation Month from me to you. On that note, it's dinner time. Guess who's coming to dinner? Bon appetit. Enjoy your evening. I'll see you on Friday. On Friday, we have Kentucky's poet laureate. Her name is Miss Crystal Wilkinson. Don't miss it. Come listen to some beautiful poetry. Friday. Guess who's coming to dinner? See ya.